24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Africa, nakupenda sana. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you know when you hear that sound that you are at the African Experience show with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. And I'm not alone. I'm always with my beautiful, beautiful co-host, Aventina Mabunda. Ladies and gentlemen, we always look forward to this hour because that is an hour that we get inspired, the hour that we talk about the African story and telling it our way. Mandla, good evening, my sister.
Evening, Doc. It's always lovely to host the African Experience with you. And today I'm looking forward to learning more and getting inspired about the health department and particularly issues of the heart. So, yes, I cannot wait.
The matters of the heart, you can say that
Exactly.
again. You know, as we're preparing for these, and I'm like, perhaps we have to ask the doctor, what actually, what does the heart, contains? Because, everybody talks about my heart is painful, my heart is happy. Even that song, Ya Mr. Bauer, oh, Mbilu ya mina yi happy. Why is the heart so special? But ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. Tonight we are talking to a I think he's a cardiologist. He's a specialist in the heart matters. Mandla, maybe you can introduce our guest.
I cannot wait. So, ladies and gentlemen, on our show tonight, we are hosting Dr. Themba Mangolele, a cardiologist specialist who will be taking us through his journey as a specialist in the health sector and how really the heart is. We want to know more of this organ. It seems to be a troublesome organ. So, welcome to our dear host, Butirperile.
Good evening, Mandla, and good evening, Dr. Hlami, and to your listeners and viewers at home. My name is Themba Mangolele Maluleke.
Thank you so much, for joining us. I know you are a doctor, very busy, and perhaps even during this interview, who knows, you might be on call and they might be calling you to go and address, the matters of the heart. But we appreciate that you gave us, this hour. Yes, Themba Mangolele Maluleke, tell us a little bit more about yourself in the nutshell. Where do you come from? Where were you born? And just your background in a nutshell.
Well, I was born in, as they say, and bred in a district previously called Malamulele, currently under Collins Chavani local municipality in Lepompo. And under the chieftainship of Madonsi at a small village called Mchipisi. That's where I was born, and that's where I spent most of my life, like all village boys and girls. I'm the third born son of Mr. H.W. Mangolele and Sharati Baloyi. Currently staying in Gauteng, married to Tsakani Bilankulu, and with two children, Akani and Shiluba Daisy. Currently practicing as a cardiologist in Netcare Pulusa Hospital in Polokwane, and also the new Raslo Hospital in Centurion. And just like most village boys at that time, did everything, including heading cows, pushing wheelbarrows to fetch water, everything that, a village boy will do, but at the same time attending school, attending all my pre-varsity years at the same locality, that's in Malamulele, at Kanani Primary School for 7 years from grade grade 1, it used to be standard sub A up to
Sub A.
grade 7, standard 5. And then I went to Shingwedzi High School where I did my grade 8 until grade 12. And then that's my short journey.
Wow,
We can
wow.
we'll move forward as we go along.
Thank you. Thank you so much, for that background. And one thing that we do on the show, Doctor, it's actually to show that, even a young boy, waleka angagena skolo akanani or whatever, they can actually make it in life. And I think that is the purpose of our show, to say, you know what, for people to make it, for people to do something extraordinary, you don't have to be born in, suburbs and whatnot, but you can change the narrative of your life. I'm so excited, to be hosting you tonight. And we look forward, to hearing a little bit more about, your journey. Mandla, I'm really, really
Yeah.
impressed.
It's so interesting. And Dr. Maluleke, what we also do on our show is to acknowledge our listeners. And I mean, within the first 3 minutes, we already see our lines are blaring. We can acknowledge now Kombi Maluleke, who's saying good evening. And we see Miss Knowles Tonga Bay or Tonga, yes, Tonga Bay, who's saying we are here. We are here to learn. My son, good evening. We acknowledge Sese Rose Basan Maswanganyi. She's saying good evening, Dr. Mangolele. And our loyal listener again, we owe her cup. Mrs. Tagan Mabasa. Good evening, Dr. Maluleke. Not forgetting who else? Someone who Pastor Frida, who's saying good African experience of the heart are of interest to a lot of our African experience listeners. So we cannot wait, Doctor. We cannot wait to learn and be inspired. So tell me, someone who grew up Gamadonsi, in the introduction, I was telling you, Mino Maka Mashobze, what makes your dreams to be valid? What drew you to the profession of being, in the health space?
As I'm saying, and obviously there are other better stories, far more enriching than myself. There are other better stories of people that have also inspired me, who started from nothing, and they are some now they are household names in their fraternity. One of them being our host here, and to be honest, when I started, as the journey indicated, I already jumping to the question. After matric, I went to do pharmacy, to study as a pharmacist. And that was by accident that I did pharmacy. When we were still at school, career guidance was non-existent. And the only thing that you were to use maybe was some role modeling from home as to what was happening at home. And at home that time, most of my brothers, just to indicate that another dimension is also the fact that I'm from a big family. My father was a polygamist. So it was 9 mothers and close to 60 kids at home. So the inspiration was there, but most of my brothers and sisters were teachers, were in the education fraternity. There was none who was a doctor when we were growing up. It changed after some time, and then there were nurses as well. So most of the time, those were the only things that we could look at. Accounting was, that time when I was there, was non-existent, in fact, around the area. So you had to look at home as to what you need to do. So I also wanted to be a teacher initially, as some of most of my brothers were teachers. So I wanted to be a teacher. I did apply to the training colleges. I did get regrets at some point in time in some of them, but a friend of mine who was also my tough competitor at school, called Elizabeth Baloy, recommended pharmacy to me when Medunsa, or that time the current Steve Mahato University couldn't admit me for medicine. She said, no, there's something called pharmacy and it's close to medicine. you can do that for now and see how it takes you. And University of the North was offering that. And how we got there, because we didn't apply with Elizabeth at that time. We applied only at Medun's, and then we didn't we were not accepted there. But we had a bursary, fortunately, from the then Gazankulu government. So we went to the University of the North and we got accepted there for pharmacy. We got a recommendation from one of the guy who was a pharmacist, Mr. Itani. I can't remember the surname, but he was from Venda. He wrote us some letters of recommendation and we got admitted through that. So that's how I did pharmacy. I went to pharmacy, but the heart always was in medicine. I wanted to be a doctor. But that was after I have seen some of the people or some of the young doctors who had come to work at Maluleke. But suffice to say for now, I will await your question before I get too ahead of your questions and whatever you want to ask me.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much. Something that I'm actually picking from the conversation is that, you didn't even qualify to be a doctor to start with. You have to take a long route, you have to be a pharmacist, but now you became a doctor and became a specialist. I can't wait to actually hear a little bit more about the inspiration of saying, failure, it doesn't define me, because that is where I want to go. I also want to go to the lines and really recognize, some of the listeners here. I see Moira Baloyi. Thank you so much for joining. There is a Goshi or Gotli Mavis. Thank you so much. Akumalume Kwalanu. Bongi Chabalala. Thank you so much for joining. Basani Besta. Thank you so much. He's saying greetings, Dr. Maluleke Mangolele. We are here to get part of your knowledge. I couldn't agree with you more, Basan. We are also here to get, part of his knowledge. We see Heri Mashisane is joining, Bongani Mongolele. Thank you so much, Nansobo. Thank you so much, our listeners, for joining. Yes, we are talking to Dr. Themba Mangolele. Wow, thank you so much. Now, how was the journey like? This young boy from Madonsi now going to the then Tefluo, becoming a pharmacist. And I think there was a picture, DJ Messi maybe show that picture again, so that we see those humble beginning. How was the journey like? Can you see that picture? Yeah. Doc.
As I say, I had two options, either to go back and, there are people, as I say, who I admired after they failed or they didn't get the right marks or grades to be admitted to an institution of higher learning. They went back, and improved their marks to be able to be accepted the following year. And as I'm saying, but with me, I thought like that time, no, I can't take or else I had to take an enforced gap year. So I thought I can't take an enforced gap year. I'm going ahead. Maybe it's another way of going to medicine. Then I went to TEFLOP. TEFLOP was hostile at that time in the sense that there were a lot of political activities or activism in TEFLOP at that time, that most parents didn't want to, send a 17-year-old boy to a varsity like TEFLOP. But I arrived in TEFLOP, I was well received and I was very much assisted and got to meet friends. A lot of them, I think some of them you've seen some of the pictures when you show them, who assisted me through the way. Fortunately, as I say, I had a bursary. The most important thing that I learned at TEFLOP was, when I was still at high school, teachers will say that automatically we know you'll pass. So I didn't even have to study because it was already known that I'm going to pass and I'll be around, the first 3 in class. So I didn't have to work hard. But at TEFLOP, they told me to be humble and now to start, the first test of chemistry and physics, physical science, physics humbled me because for the first time, a test threw me, showed me flames, according to the terminology now. It really showed me flames, and I had to say it. I mean, I'm coming from a high school where I was known that I haven't failed a test at all. Now I'm failing my first test here at university. Then I had to start working hard. That's the first time that I realized that you have to work hard, and that if you pair or you add hard work to your natural gifts in whatever field that you are in or whatever pursuit that you are involved with, you get more luck, and you can see your luck easy and you can be able to grab it. So that was the most humbling experience at TEFLOP. But again, TEFLOP also helped me to say, TEFLOP, or the University of the North, now called University of Limpopo, was more like you still like you felt like we're still at home. I mean, the culture was the same one from home. You met a lot of your brothers there. You learn to share that time. You learn to assist your own brothers, which I learned to take to other universities, and really taught them some of the things that I learned at TEFLOP, and they still help me and assist me even today to use it as a reference. So it was, those 4 years to me were not like, the 9 wasted years. They were not 4 wasted years. I did learn something about life in TEFLOP, beside the fact that I had to change back to medicine at another university. So that's the experience that I got there.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. A narration of how you went from one university to the other. And, judging from the number of comments that we have online today, you can see clearly that this is a people's person, number one. This is a wealth of information that everyone wants to learn from. So, but before we carry on our show, Doctor, we take a break. At breaks, we need to pay the bills every 15 minutes or so. So, on that note, I'd like us to break a bit. Don't go anywhere. Just sip your water and relax, because there's a lot of people waiting to learn from you. So, DJ Macy, can we go for an ad break, please?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the African Experience. You are with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. I'm with my co-host, Aventina Mabunda. Tonight we are talking to the people's doctor. I'm looking at the lines. Everybody is saluting and all that. We are talking to Dr. Themba Mangolele Maluleke. Dr. Themba, before we ask you more questions, let me just go to the lines again and really recognize our listeners. We can see you, Tinyi Konkuna. Thank you so much for joining. Miranda Maswanganyi, wow, he said, I'm here for this booty here. Thank you so much for joining. We can see, Stephen Kubai. Thank you so much for joining. Kombi said accident career. I like that. We see Lakima Gudu. Thank you so much, our lovely doctor. I can see how much people love you. I also see Tabiso Muthei. Good evening, the good doctor, highly inspired and grateful to be your friend. Thank you so much, Elizabeth Ngomeni. I think that is the Elizabeth that, you were talking about, that, you went, to do the pharmacy together. Elizabeth, Dr. Mangolele was really saying you inspired him to actually take, pharmacies. Thank you so much. Riranzu Dumezulu, thank you so much for joining. Masilo Collins. Actually, Mandla, we could even finish the show by acknowledging, the people that are joining. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so, so much. Doctor, on the show, we ask our guests to pick the theme. And your theme is very interesting. You say your humble heart beats or something like that. Tell us a little bit more about your theme, why you chose that, and why is it important?
As I've indicated before, Dr. Ngwenya, mine I can't change the narrative. Mine, it's a humble story. And as I preach every day, that it should remain humble because of everything that it got. I mean, I just gave, just a brief synopsis, but the humility that's there on how this person became a cardiologist today is too much. There are lots of people who assisted. And this tells me that the same way as in your life and in your heart, to remain humble as you can. And sometimes like your heartbeats will be too slow that you will need assistance from other people. Sometimes it will be very chaotic and fast that you need to slow down. Sometimes your heart itself will get tired, needing more help, and more action from other people to assist you. And as I say, as you regain your strength, as your heart recovers, remain humble and be able to assist. That's how I chose the theme for today. It was not mostly on the academic side of the heart, but on my individual journey.
Wow. Wow. Ooh, in my private life, I do poetry, and I'm like already, I can see the poem that is coming. You are so poetic, Doc. You are so poetic. Your heart beats, and when it's chaotic and fast and tired. Oh my God, I'm going to listen to that again and write something about it. This is so, so beautiful. Mandla, I'm sure my heart is so chaotic and fast.
Yes, actually, when he was doing that, I'm like, wow. So he is a poet after being a specialist as well. But I want to take you back to a few of the stuff that we already spoke about. Here is a young man coming from a family of a polygamist with 9 wives in a household of 60 children, but still hell bent on making something out of the ordinary from that. Someone can call it organized chaos. We know how families that have polygamy in them, sometimes they face a lot of challenges. Now, what kept you going, and why were you so hell bent on being a doctor? One would assume that once you went into pharmacy, you would have said, look, it's still in the medicine stream, so I might as well make the most of this. What kept you going and wanting to be that doctor that you wanted to be?
Exactly. I mean, exactly, Manda. After a year, because remember we are applying to schools around April to July, because I only worked for 1 year as a pharmacist. That picture, I was at Maluleke Hospital Pharmacy. It was after I graduated. So I only worked for a year. But you don't apply in January to be admitted in like we did with the walk-in application or self-application that we did with Elizabeth Ngwenya. I had to apply in around April. So what happened is, as I told you, that when I was initially applying to be a teacher, to go to Dibumbeni, you had to go and do, some examination with the doctors at the hospital. I went to Maluleke Hospital. I found this young doctor called Dr. Ndambi. I think it's Peter. Dr. Ndambi, the junior one. He was called Shindambani that time to differentiate him from Dr. Franz Ndambi. So I found him and like, yo, someone so young, can be a doctor. And still, although it was 4 years, but I think I can, still come back and do it. Then, but the itch came back after I started working. Then I applied to UCT and University of Cape Town and University of Witwatersrand this time. Maybe I was now afraid to be rejected again in Medunsa, so I didn't apply for the second time. And fortunately, I got, I think around July, I got admitted. Again, as you're saying, that at that point I should have said enough, it's enough. And looking at the family and everything else. But I had two people who were very supportive. Who's my mother, who was not working at that time, and my late sister, Daisy, may soul rest in peace, who was a nurse at that point in time. I wrote at that time to say, looking at the future, these are the advantages of every. There were three areas that I could go to. The first one was to continue as a pharmacist. The second one was there was this, I think, Education Opportunities Council who were promising to give me a bursary to go and do my master's in America in pharmacy. And then the last one, which was not famous at home, was going back to school. As one of my brothers put it, my younger brother who used to say, it's like starting at standard A. So I chose the latter, but it was because when I wrote the pros and cons and gave them to my mom and my sister, they said, no, we agree with you that this is the road that you should take, looking at what you want to do and what you always wanted, and we will support you whatever it takes. And they did, and thanks to them.
Wow. DJ Messi, there's some pictures. Doc, when we are here, we go through your social media platform, we get some pictures. There's some pictures that I would like our technical producer to show. You tell us, you seem to be somebody who's a family person. The way you are talking about your late sister, the way you are talking about how you were inspired by your mother, even though she was not working. DJ Messi, which pictures did we find? And maybe doctor will tell us what was going on there. And while we are waiting for those pictures, okay, there we go. We found a picture there. Are you able to see it? What was
Yes,
happening there?
that's my mom on the right, and then with the hood, it's my sister. She was graduating, and then
Okay.
there's my dad, who was the Julius Malema of that time. And then after him, it's my Muhulu elder mom, sitting
Okay.
on the left of the picture. So
Okay.
those are the people who have really made me what I am today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. DJ Messi, some more pictures, maybe if you found any. There we go. What
Oh,
is going on there?
that's my family, my wife Sakani and my two kids, Shiluba Daisy. That's why I emphasize Shiluba Daisy, because that's my sister's name. And
Ah,
then my boy Akani, and unless if they left me behind, maybe I'm there, the picture, I can't see the rest of it.
yeah, no, you are actually there. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be showing, some more picture then. Oh, okay, there is another one there. Mm-hmm.
Yes, as I was telling you, that in terms of motivation and inspiration, you get it from home. Then after, when I started working as a pharmacist, there was Dr. Solibila, who was working at Maluleke while I was a pharmacist. So he also motivated me when I was saying I want to go back to school at that time. But one person who played a great role in me going to school, to medicine, and supported me both morally and financially is my brother Ramsey, who's standing next to me. He is a surgeon, both a transplant surgeon currently, and also still motivating and inspiring me, and also he's a cardiometabolic specialist, those who are doing gastric bypasses and everything. So he doesn't stop learning, and as I'm saying, he is my inspiration.
Well, I can imagine the conversation in the family, when you are together, because you are not only talking about the heart, but we are also talking about what is happening inside the heart. I just want you to share with us a little bit your journey as you were starting to become a cardiologist. What does it take? Because I understand, and I'm asking from a layman, perspective. You become a medical doctor and then you specialize. So you started to be a pharmacist and it didn't end there. Then you became a medical doctor then you specialize again to become a cardiologist. What is the journey? What do you do, and why did you choose, the heart and not to become a gynecologist or any other area of specialization?
So what it took for me is the first thing is when I went to do medicine at University of Cape Town. Now the role were reversed. When I was at TEFLOP, I was the young one in the class, or one of the youngest in the class, who could be, play, be naughty with everyone, and it will be accepted that you are still young. They will tell me that you are still young. People like I saw one of them here, Collins Masilo. They will say you are still young and everything. But now, because it was 5 years of pharmacy and internship, when I went to UCT, now I was the old one. And now I had to play a different role altogether to the people who were coming through the system, to guide them. But in terms of the years and everything, the hard work that you had to do, it was after the medicine, the 6 years of medicine still, and the internship and community service, which was 3 years combined, and then 4 years of being a physician, because you don't become a cardiologist straight. It's called a super specialty. It means you have to specialize first and then specialize again. So I did 4 years of being a physician. I think that time now I had the energy to do it. And then 3 years of being of cardiology. And obviously for the last 4 and 3 years, 7 years, then I had a family by that time. So I was even older. So I had a family that time. And this time all the inspiration was coming from my wife to say, you cannot leave this time. You have to go until where you want to do it. And why cardiology is, and the question is also not only why cardiology, it's only why cardiology and why Lipompo, because the two are very are interlinked. In terms of why cardiology is that, that was to me that was a personal. It was personal in the sense that my late sister Daisy passed on at the age of 30, at a tender young age of 30, with a heart condition which nowadays, if we diagnosed it early, and maybe even that time, if diagnosed it early, there's something that you could do. I mean, there are a lot of patients, similar patients to her, that I'm seeing every day that I diagnose with a similar problem, and that we have managed to turn their life around, and they are still alive, and they'll be alive for the next 20, 30 years, which opportunity didn't get. So to me, it was to say, if I can go back to Lipompo and work as a cardiologist and assist people who are coming from this province of where I come from, and also home, because I'm not only coming to Netcare Hospital, I also go to Venda and I mean Tando and Zanini. I do travel there just to see patients there, and as I'm saying, I think that was one of the best decisions. And as I say, more personal, it's fulfilling every time when I meet patients who says, you help my friend, you have helped my parents, you have helped my brother, who, if it was not for you, we don't know what will be happening by now. And to me, those are dollars. They are worth, dollars, those kind of sentiments, and we get them every day. Those are the things that makes us to wake up at night and go and work and assist patients. So, and as I'm saying, yes, for now, the profession has helped me. And still, I think it was the best choice, but the inspiration was from what I saw my sister go through and trying to help other people who shouldn't find themselves in the similar circumstances or succumb to disease that could have been treated earlier. Should there have been people around the area to attend to them?
This is very deep. This is very deep, Doc. This is very deep because and as you talk about, it's very personal because you have experienced that in the family. I can feel the emotion in your voice, and I can feel the passion in your voice. Thank you so much. I must admit, Mandra will know, ever since we started with the show, perhaps, this is the first time where we see a lot of people commenting, and it says a lot about the kind of person that you are. Mandla, maybe before you take, the some of the comments, I wanna recognize, some of the people that were sending SMSs, like, Ishmael Mpofu. He's also saying your story is already an inspiration. I also want to recognize, Joe Mahatu from Bilabila, but, now based, I think, in Polokwane. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for sending, those messages. Mandla, I give it up to you to actually, recognize, some of the listeners that are joining also.
It's amazing. I can just sit here, just listen to his story. I cannot help but recognize and be captured by his humility. Tamaleke, you have a way of saying something that is intense and make it sound like it's very light. And it makes sense why the huge following now, because this thing is internal. You can see that it's a deep rooted passion. Here on the show, we always have godly ideas. You can just see that this is one of those special passion projects that are just given to someone. I want to particularly highlight one comment because it's coming closer to home for me personally. Your friend Zakan Mawasa saying, listening to you, I remember how you helped me to convince my father to go to hospital when he was sick with diabetes as a medicine student. You were already playing your role. I'm forever grateful. So you can see, Dokuku, we are dealing with someone who's just given this godly talent that is able to carry everyone. But his humility, I don't see him convincing a large group of following to go with him. I mean, look at Menzima Pumulo. Cardiology brought me into the furthest areas, attesting to having a relationship and contact with you. Someone is saying, Kokwani Julius Malima, going back to what you said about your dad. So there's a lot of, you can see a mix of professionals, family, friends coming, but all of them testifying to one thing, that you are a passionate human being. What would you say it is that you have or that is in you that is able to command such a huge following?
As I'm saying, thanks for that question, Manda. I mean, we all have it within ourselves to 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 to, to inspire, and as you can see, I mean, the inspiration is not something that you get a position, you become a cardiologist, and then you start inspiring, or you become a president and you start inspiring. Inspiration starts from when I went to high school. I'm sure, as I'm saying, there are people who inspired me, and a lot of people that are inspired at high school. And I went to TEFLOP. The same thing happened. So I inspired people, they inspired me. You always reciprocate, the inspiration. And when I went to UCT, University of Cape Town, because there not only was I focusing on academics, I had learned to be, to be involved in social matters and politics of students at UCT. And I think that's when that's when I matured and assisted, a lot of students there, and learned at that time that really this life is not all about us. We're going to be here and live it, but at least leave it a better place and, inspire, help another individual. As I'm saying, I was assisted by a lot of people. There's some pictures that I'm not sure if you have, but there are people who have inspired me in my life, helped me, assisted me. When I resigned as a pharmacist, I didn't even have a bursary. And then 2-3 days before the school opened, I got a phone call to say you've got a bursary from financial aid. So the talent and everything we all have, because God has given us that, one or the other. But how do we use this God-given talent, to help humanity and assist another fellow, especially somebody that you don't know, not necessarily the one that the ones close to you. And as I say, I tell my family every day that when we internalize, we can become rich. But when we externalize, we get blessed, and blessings can be beyond what you imagine.
Wow, Doc, I actually have to invite you to our poetry cycle because you are so poetic. You are so
Just
poetic.
throwing
I'm
bars.
listening and I'm like, you know what? Yes, the way you're playing around with words. Thank you so much. Surely, yes, we do have, some pictures that we got. We're gonna show. While DJ Messi is showing some pictures, I want to recognize, some of the people that are joining you. They're taking an hour to listen to your story. I see Sibongile Helen, who's saying, good evening, Dr. Mangolele. We are watching. Very proud of you, my brother. Elizabeth, of course, we are proud of both of you, Dr. Maluleke and Dr. Hlami. Shingwezi High School. Man, I didn't tell you, actually went to school together. He was my junior.
Wow. Oh,
We
wow.
used to we used to call him Sheheran. Yeah. Yes. But
Oh, that is
really take off my
lovely.
head for you. Exactly. So we have Mati Mujele, a gentle giant, Shakaramina. Oh, Tsakan Mabasa, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Ruth Mhlongo, I'm watching Malume, Russell Maluleke. I remember our time in Tefluop. Okay, so DJ Messi, what more pictures do we have so that, the good doctor, actually, I should call you the good doctor, can tell us what was going on here? Some more pictures? Okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
Doc? Mm-hmm.
this is one of the very nice picture of my team or my old team at work. When
Mm-hmm.
I started working, I joined one of the cardiologists, in fact, one of the best cardiologists in South Africa, Dr. Martin Mpe. I joined him, and he had a vision, and he still has that vision, I'm sure. Although, as I say, sometimes you have to slow down, and sometimes, you need, people to resuscitate you, to create, jobs for black people. And this is how big our family was in terms of the people that we have employed. Well, there are few partners of some of the people there, but that's how big we were. And this gentleman was responsible to make sure that all of the people that are there goes home with a salary every month. And
Yeah.
that can be more, inspiration. And to say from those, how many families get, to make sure that they go to school, they get clothes, they get fed and everything. So that is still his vision, which I fortunately, because of our common, purpose, I aspire to, and hopefully with time we will even do more than this. So this was one of the best achievements that we ever did, together, and with that time with a lady called Dr. Sibesho. So one of our aims is to say create jobs, doctor. I mean, when I create jobs, make sure that there are jobs, one way or the other, for people. Mm.
Absolutely.
Wow. This is beautiful. Before we go on an ad break, here's another one. Oh, okay. So it's off. So before we go on an ad break, I want to, what does a day look like for you, Dr. Mongolil? Because you seem to me like you're a very passionate person. So when you put your mind to something, you do it with your whole heart. So what does a day look like?
So far, as I'm saying, my day is not very complicated because, as I say, I enjoy the work that I'm doing. So on a normal, there's also, I mean, in cardiology, there's a normal day and an abnormal day. So on a normal day, I come to the office and then I see patients in the hospital, and then I see patients in the wards, and then maybe I might make it abnormal by going to theater where things might be rosy and straightforward, or else they might be complicated patients who makes you sweat the whole night. But there are very abnormal days where you are sleeping or you're somewhere else and you get a phone call to say doctor, we're in casualty or we are at a place somewhere in Messina and we've got a patient with a heart attack, we need to be airlifted to your hospital so that you can go to theater and make sure that you save that heart and you save that life. Or we've got a patient whose electricity has stopped or they've got heart block and they have to go to theater same time to get a pacemaker, either a temporary one or a permanent one to keep them alive for that time until they are sorted. So those are, and then, but for most of the time, as I'm saying, the days are really nice and well. And if you love your job, like I can see you do in studio, your days becomes amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Dr. Themba Mangolele. We are talking the matters of the heart in different ways, from the emotional part, but also the heart, literally so, because we are talking to a cardiologist. Something that stands out also, as you were talking about, I studied this and I studied that. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This studying never ends. It's like you're adding 3 years and then another 4 years and 4 years and whatnot. And there are people out there who, when they think of going to school, they're like, no, I don't want. But for you to be where you are and to be the celebrated person that you are today, you had to sweat. You had to put in a lot of time and energy. What advice can you give to somebody who is listening somewhere in terms of persistence? And I don't know, what advice can you give?
Thanks, Dr. Hlami. As I've indicated, it's not only in studying or in the formal education. It's in everything that we do in life, that to see the results. And as I'm saying, I learned that from when I was at TEFLOP, to say whatever talent that you have, even if you have talent, even if you are gifted, because yes, academically I was gifted. I just needed, opportunities, luck, help, and assistance somewhere. And there were people who were even more gifted than me, but the difference was the hard work, the ability to spend more hours, learn more, attend more classes, you know, and not only learn to pass the exams, learn to acquire as much knowledge as possible, even the ones that you want. I never knew that, and I've never used what is called a scope in my life. So I try to learn as much as possible and use it. And as I'm saying, I can't emphasize that whatever you do must not only be about yourself, and there are different kind of leaders. You learn from both of them. My father will come into the house, immediately that house will light by his presence. And that will be great, but you won't know when that light will switch off. My mother is a different kind of a leader. The light will come out slowly until the whole house is it's fine, but you know that light will stay forever. So you learn from different people, different things, and there are things that I've learned from my father and things that I've acquired from my mother, and I use both of them when I see that maybe this one will work on this particular situation. And as I'm saying, role modeling is very much important, and that's what I do to my people that I meet, whether it's the young people that I met, even in my office and even on the streets, say, you can do better. Just asking, what are you doing? And it's saying you can do better. It changes their narrative, it changes the way they think. And let's continue to inspire them and show them the right way. And another thing that I've learned is to knock on doors. Because as you can see, I've my family has hardly paid anything for me in terms of financially to be where I am. They've hardly paid a cent except for maybe in primary and high school, to be honest. So it means there are people that I had to go and knock, and there are ways. Although initially, obviously, say We had problems when we were still at school. There were no career guidance. We didn't know where to get bursaries and everything. The only bursary that we knew that time for us was only one. But with time, I started knowing where to find the money for studies. But you learn that when you are inside the system. When you're outside, it looks like the doors will never open. But when you're in, you realize how simple to open those doors.
Wow. This is so interesting, Doc. Listening to you, one cannot help but be inspired even where I am. And I see a lot of people are honestly paying tribute to that. Someone saying Limpopo is very, very fortunate to have you, Doc. Someone is saying we are so proud of you. Rudima Hoons is saying this. And then someone saying very inspired and proud to be listening to my friends. You make me wish kuna man fanen genishingwezi. Honestly, Dr. Samalan is saying that. I'm so proud of my doctor friends from Shingwezi. And then someone saying, Sesi Desi is so proud of you up there. We are so proud of from Kazidoli. You seem to be a deep person. It seems like you're a deep feeling person. Tell me something. Is it true or false that heartbreak can actually kill a person?
Is that a question?
If that's a question, can you die from heartbreak?
Very uncommonly, but yes, there are people who died from heartbreak.
Wow.
But those are people who have been worried for most of their years, and then all of a sudden they get a serious illness or a serious diagnosis of cancer, or else they lose a significant other or an acute stress, and then your heart just gives up. While everything has been normal, it has been pumping okay, the arteries of the heart are not blocked. You didn't have a heart attack. You just all of a sudden stop. But we're not on that today.
Yeah, we are certainly not going there today. But Mandla, perhaps we need to have a follow-up, question where we talk really matters of the heart, because this heart seems to be one of the most important parts, of the body.
Yes.
It breaks, it smile, it makes us to smile and all that. Doc, maybe we should have, a lighter version where we talk the issues of the heart. Let me recognize more people before we ask you, when you are not working, how do you unwind? But while you prepare for responding to that, let me respond. We look at Bonani Nkuna. Thank you so much for listening. Maureen Goven, Hlami, and Dr. Maluleke. You are my inspiration, Tsonga Queen and Tsonga King, Tsonga, but yeah, that's all, Tsonga Licious, it's happening here. My namesake there, Hlami Ngobeni, thank you so much for joining. Tinyiko Dimahunzi. Oh, I see a lot of our classmates and, schoolmates. Thank you so much for bringing Shingwezi. I can see, let's go Eagles. Oh, let's go Eagles. Man. So, Doc, when you are not working, when you are not attending to the hearts and all that, how do you unwind?
I don't think there's a time when you are not working when you are in this profession, because even when you are sitting at home, you get a phone call from a relative, friend, or some people asking questions, and you have to attend to them or to go and assist. But really, otherwise, I do have a life, and for most of the time, I stay at home, play with the kids. We still play pool, card games, your simple Scrabble, chess, dominoes, 30 seconds. Those are the things that I do most of the time sitting at home. But otherwise, a very sports fan. I spend most of the time on TV watching sports, from all kind of sports, starting from soccer. I won't tell you which team I support before you get a heart attack. So, but I do spend time watching sport, cricket, whatever, whether international or locals. So, and I do a bit of most of the traveling so far is on conferences in terms of overseas, but locally I do travel with family a lot of times. So in short, and then obviously attending, which is still part of work, conferences locally and again, as I say, it's international. But
Wow.
the most time that I spend that I enjoy is with family. I do offer contribute to the president's education trust, where so far as we managed to send some of the students that I don't even know their names or where they come from to universities and they've graduated. And because, as I say, I met him somewhere around 1996, and he started a trust fund that time to help some of us. So it's sort of like payback. I do go to schools in Limpopo to support them. We had initiatives at Ngwenya before. Currently, on my own, we doing some we giving shoes and uniforms to students at some primary school, including my first primary school, which is Kanani. And also sports award. This is a sports award for one of the schools that one of my late brothers, Joe, used to be the principal. So I host sport awards for them. I donate school uniforms to means school shoes to these school kids, soccer and netball kits and kind of things, and go and give them a talk. These are primary school students where I started as well, and got inspired by the teachers who were saying, it looks like your essays are better than others, and then you start taking yourself seriously. So it starts there. So that's another thing that I do. I'm also trying, maybe with your guidance, to write a book of my story. I'm not sure if it's worth writing a book about, but I'm trying to write
It's
a
within.
book about. I'm still at page 5, so maybe you'll assist with that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then at the same time, I'll be very happy, and that's my vision where I'm looking at is to be part of a group that can start a proper. For now, we'll call it private, in brackets, hospital at Maluleke. I'll be more, that will have fulfilled my life if I can be part of a group that can do that. And that's what I'm working at. It's very infancy stages, but I'm sure in 5 years' time, when you call me back again here, I'll be telling you something different. So, and as I'm saying, one of the things that have come to me has been my highlights, which you asked there. I'll be saying there are 3 or 4 things that I will mention as my highlights. It's when I've treated some of my ex teachers and my ex school, what called principals, to say people who have given me so much, I'm giving them back all my time to them in terms of their health. That can't be more precious. When I treated my own mother during the hectic COVID, it was not supposed to happen, but that's also, my highlight. And when my own niece, Daisy's sister, graduated, as there's a picture where we're together at UCT when she graduated and became a medical doctor. Because when my sister passed on, what people don't know is that she wanted to leave nursing and go and study medicine. So I think through a daughter who was 2 years when Daisy passed on, a dream has been realized. So that has been more fulfilling to me. The rest are just the things that God wanted, and they will continue to happen.
Okay. DJ Messi, if you could allow maybe another 2-3 minutes to wrap up nicely so that Mandla can acknowledge some of the people that are joining and also share some of the emergency numbers that you have said. Mandla, over to you, my
Sure.
system.
Doc, I will rush through this because there's a lot of comments still coming, and we need Tebula saying we are Very proud of you, Bandyangu. And then someone says, we're looking forward to that book. Kombi Maluleke saying, Malamlele, wow, it will be nice. Blessed town indeed. Makamuni and Lovu saying, we are very proud of you. Eric Chipangobeni says you are a Kosi fan. So the cat is out of the bag there. And then PV Shipambu's wife is proud of you. You know, guys, I wish PV was still alive. Yo, I never knew heartbreak can kill a person. You know, a lot of people, Doc, if I go through this, 3 minutes will not be enough. Makosnat Richard saying, we really appreciate you as you are the icon of the nation. You make us proud, Dr. Themba. Very proud of you. Says Hlami, Dr. Maluleke. You know, you are my inspiration, or we've been through that. So you know what? Even if we wanted to say anything more, the comments are saying everything. You are such a gentle giant. One cannot help, Doc, you know, the papela, one cannot help but tone down a bit when we were talking to Dr. Maluleke, because he is such a humble soul and a wealth of inspiration. Thank you for inspiring us on the African experience. I was not alone as usual, ladies and gentlemen. I was with my good academic doctor as well, Dr. Ngwenya, and a poet of note if you want to hear some of her poetry. Thank you so much. Do not forget, next week, same time, same place, we'll be talking to yet another groundbreaker, another iconic, inspiration for all of us youngsters out there. Thank you so much. But before we go, Dr. Maluleke, we always give this opportunity to our guests to say one last part. And before you the numbers, emergency contact details is 0729966 and then 500. Am I reading it right, DJ Mace? It seems like I'm missing a number there. But we'll always post these details on our social media pages so that anyone who wants to get in touch with you can do that. So now over to you as a parting short, Doc. What do you want to tell all the people who tuned in, who were watching, who are inspired by your story?
Thanks, Manda, and thanks, Dr. Hlami, for inviting me. I mean, it came as a surprise when I woke up and got the invitation for the first time, not to talk about academic issue, to say somebody out there realized that there is something that you can tell to the nation, you can tell to the community, and you can tell to part of Africa where you guys are streaming, and to the African child. This is your story. This is the story that you should own it, and this is the story that should inspire you to reach your dreams. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have the time for. One thing, I'll definitely, get in touch with you with that book because people want to read that. But also consider poetry because you are such a poet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African experience. We're going to see you again next week, same time. God bless. And thank you to DJ Messi for our technical producer out there. Thank you and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika, nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika, nakupenda sana.